There is a town in the US where it's illegal to eat ice cream on a Sunday. And it's not the only place with bizarre laws like that. These are the Blue Laws, a hodgepodge of restrictions that prohibit certain activities on Sundays, supposedly to respect the Christian Sabbath. But these laws have nothing to do with Christianity. They have everything to do with control. I'm from a news channel. This is the story of America's weirdest law. Back in the 19th century, most states passed blue laws modeled after the biblical laws in Exodus that forbid work on the Sabbath. The idea was that everyone had to attend church on Sunday, so they couldn't be working or traveling or, selling things. So many businesses closed up shop. And to this day, most major U.S. cities observe a limited form of the blue laws. For example, you can't buy alcohol in New York City on Sundays until noon. But one town took things way too far. It's the small town of Wellsville, New York, a town of about 2,000 people that's home to a can factory, a nursing home, and one of America's only surviving A&P grocery stores. Wellsville sits in a valley surrounded by farmland and forest. And for most of its history, it was a quiet, unassuming place. That all changed in 1895 when the local Baptist minister, the Reverend Jeremiah Ingalls, convinced the town council to pass an ordinance prohibiting the sale and consumption of ice cream on Sundays. In those days, Sunday was a big deal. Stores were already closed. The trains didn't run. Most people didn't even own cars. So there was nowhere to go and nothing to do. People went to church, then they visited their families, and then they did it all again the next day. It was a pretty idyllic existence. That is, if you didn't like ice cream. And Wellsville wasn't alone. In fact, it was just getting started. By 1906, more than 200 towns in 34 states had laws banning ice cream on Sundays. Why? Well, ice cream was a treat, something that should only be enjoyed during the week. After all, if you ate ice cream every day, it would become a staple, which means that it wouldn't be special anymore. And if people weren't careful, they might actually start enjoying it too much. So how exactly did this law work? Well, it wasn't like the government was going to send out an army to arrest all the ice cream eaters. Instead, the ban relied on the so-called honor system, which meant that business owners simply had to promise not to sell ice cream on Sundays. Now, to be fair, they were probably pretty busy at this time of year, because who wants to go shopping on a Sunday? But imagine you in Wellsville, and it's hot cockle summer, and you having a barbecue with your friends. You open up the fridge, and you don't have any ice cream. What are you going to do? You could always just walk into town and buy some, except you can't. You may need to get a new grill. This law remained in effect for decades. But over time, Wellsville became less strict. Nowadays, you can buy ice cream in town, just not in the stores. You gotta go to the dairy plant. And you'd think that would be the end of it, but it's not. There are still places in the US where you can get arrested for eating ice cream on a Sunday. For example, in Niagara, Wisconsin, where the population has dropped from 2,500 to 1,500 since 1960, and nearly half of them are retired. That's right, half. In 2012, a local woman named Sandy Fitzgerald was fined $25 for selling cookies and brownies at a church rummage sale. Because apparently that's work. And it's not the only place either. In Vermont, you can't drive on Sunday unless it's a matter of life and death. And in Indiana, you can't hunt on a Sunday unless it's a matter of life and death. Actually, that sounds kind of dangerous. Imagine if someone needed medical care on a Sunday. What are they going to do? Oh wait, never mind. Forget I asked that question. They're probably dead. So yeah, it turns out blue laws aren't really about religion. They're about control. These laws were designed to tell people what they can and can't do on the Lord's Day and to punish anyone who doesn't follow the rules. Fortunately, we have the right to ignore these laws. Just don't do anything stupid like eating ice cream on a Sunday.